All right, so I'm doing some YouTube shorts here and there, and we recently did a we did a YouTube short about Chicago's finances, and things aren't looking good for my city. I don't know if we're going to have a living populace here by 2026 or even by 2027. I don't know the future of small businesses here in Chicago. Who knows? Maybe I will live on the moon or whoever else, because Chicago is going to be expensive because Mayor Brandon Johnson, superstar mayor, Chicago's finances have reached a point of no return. Now, before I play this video, I want to make it very clear about Brandon Johnson being a progressive. I know there's a lot of this talk about Brandon Johnson being a progressive. He is not, okay? There's a lot of promises that he has made, and he's been called out by a lot of people. Hardlens Media, Jamal Green, and so many other activists and organizers and small business owners and people all across the city. Mayor Lightfoot, Mayor Rahm Emanuel have also, we got to continue, point at them too, contributed to the downfall of this city. Folks, and Jimmy Dore, if you're watching this, I know this is going to break your heart. Currently, Chicago's facing $1.1 billion budget gap for 2026. We have reached a point of no return. The city is screwed up the wazoo. And when I mean up the wazoo, I mean so up the wazoo that it's not even funny. Ladies and gentlemen, the mayor of Chicago. Take it away, all-star superstar.
We have reached a point now where there's no return.
A frank admission from Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. A looming budget crisis could be even worse than expected without new taxes or cuts to city services.
The systems that people rely upon.
New taxes. As if we haven't been taxed enough.
On education, healthcare, housing, our transportation, they are woefully underfunded. And everyone knows that.
Right now, Chicago is facing a $1.1 billion budget gap for 2026. The financial burden could be even greater because of a pension bill signed by Governor J.B. Pritzker, which has increased retirement benefits for police and firefighters. That added over $11 billion to the city's long-term pension liability.
Yes, I'm going to put forth a package that people can assess and debate.
So what could be in such a package? Johnson has already ruled out a property tax increase, which many alders had promised to vote against. Other possibilities include a corporate payroll expense tax.
So property tax. That means, oh boy, if you think the landlords are going to be happy about this, they're going to be cutting. Like, it's going to be impossible to live in the city. It's going to be impossible to live in the city now. Chicago's going to be the way of so many other major metropolitan cities. In fact, if it hasn't done so already. So I just want to remind these politicians that the beating heart of a city is not the landmarks or the buildings or or anything else that's immaterial. The beating heart of the city is the generational population. It's the generations that have been living here. You want to kill Chicago? Remove the people. I mean, who wants to go to a football game or a baseball game in a city where it costs an arm and a leg to park, an arm and a leg to buy a ticket, an arm and a leg to even live here? Oh, wait, we only have 2 arms, 2 legs. You might as well chop off your head. I mean, you might as well even, you know what? You're better off living in a ditch if you want to live in Chicago, because that's what's going to happen here in this state. There's a mass exodus of people leaving.
A tax, and even a tax on cars coming into the downtown area, patterned after New York's congestion tax.
I have not made a formal presentation yet, but I can assure you one thing, though. I'm committed to making sure that the ultra-rich and those with means put more skin in the game. That is the pathway forward.
Already, the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce has called some administration ideas a step backwards for economic growth.
These things are bad for business. They're bad for jobs. They're a direct disincentive for employers to hire people in Chicago.
Another challenge. Johnson says the Chicago public schools are owed more than $1 billion in funding from the state of Illinois.
It's $1.6 billion. These aren't my numbers. These are the state's numbers. Who's hurting ultimately here?
All right, and we lose the audio from there, but that's what's happening to our city. Our city is dying. And, it's been wasted on a lot, a lot of our money's been wasted on stupid, pointless programs, bailing out, the corporate overlords, and more importantly, screwing over the working class people that have made Chicago great. This city is a place in which people will, this city is going down the crapper. And it's very sad to see us being put in this very precarious spot because of our politicians. So Pam K36, I know that you said that Detroit has already declared bankruptcy. Came out on the other side. I don't know if Chicago can survive it. In this current state, I don't know. But this city needs to promote small business owners. The city needs to help protect the homeowners. And also, this city needs to protect the elderly and the people who are in need, because this city will be nothing without the people. I am scared about Chicago. I am very frightened about Chicago. We are at the point of no return. Well, gee, Mayor Brandon Johnson, your administration promised a lot of things, even Lightfoot's administration. And Lightfoot's administration didn't help contribute at all. Now, where do I see this going for us? I see a potential war. And when I mean war, what I'm talking about is the political election of 2027. That's our next city election. Now, voter turnout is going to be key, but I wonder how many people are going to be living here for a voter turnout numbers to be significant. But as I have covered in 2024 on November 5th, what did we notice during that panel? 2 districts in Chicago turned red. Now, that's flip Chicago red. Now, I'm not saying Chicago going Republican is going to save anything, because it won't. But this does call into arms of more political action. That means if there's going to be a Republican adjacent kind of movement, when I say Republican adjacent, the last time I had Flip Chicago Red on, they were doing this by themselves. The Illinois GOP, at least at the time, things could change between now and then, did not help out as much. But there's also a growing independent movement and people breaking away from the Democrat machine. 2027 is going to be a hotbed. If we thought there was a huge cadre of characters, or a whole group of characters in the last 2 elections, in 2023 and in 2019, this city election for 2027 is going to be ground zero. And in my opinion, I think it's going to make everything in New York City put to shame. It is going to be, this city will be divided like it's never been divided before, because there's a hunger for change. And for those who are going to be running for mayor, I will give you this full-on warning. It's not a threat. It's a warning. There's a difference between a threat and a warning. So here's my warning. You better be an honest-to-God good player in the game. No, I said that already for Chicago politics. But you better be sincere and have a good plan, a good war chest to defend your policies and how you're going to get this city out of the brink. All right? Chicago is Hell's Reach. Chicago is Gotham. Chicago is the center of America. And in this major metropolitan city that has suffered from hypersegregation, division, corruption, and abuse, whoever you people are who are going to be running for Chicago mayor, when you throw your hat in the ring, you better have a plan. People are going to want action, not the same old political promises over and over and over again. This city has suffered enough, and there are good people in Chicago. So you better be ready and have a good plan. You better be ready and be able to challenge the sick Chicago system that is dying. The Democratic machine is spewing out its last gas. If you are incapable of doing so, don't run. If you're doing this for ego and pride, remember, you are going to be inheriting a city that is severely in debt. So for all the players in the game, if you want that throne, if you want that seat, you have to have the willpower of Cincinnatus. You have to have the willpower of Caesar. You have to have the willpower of Aurelian, because you are going to be inheriting a city falling apart. And notice I mentioned Aurelian at the end. All right. And I mentioned him jokingly on the show here and there. But the reason why I have such high regards for him, of all the Roman emperors and statesmen, he inherited an empire that was divided. And in 5 years, he reunited the Roman Empire. That was the crisis of the 3rd century. And Chicago is facing a crisis. And the crisis in 2027 will be a war zone. So whoever is going to be mayor of Chicago or going to run for it, you better have a plan. Otherwise, there won't be a city.